What is happening, Internet? Welcome to Konnect. Welcome to Konnect. And if you're watching us, if you see us, meaning that you either on the Konnect YouTube channel or in the Konnect LinkedIn stream, or maybe some other places like a Twitch or maybe my personal YouTube channel, which I also use to restream this, because the more the merrier, more content and more people will see it. So, who am I? My name is Viktor Gamov, and I will be your host today. Konnect Builders, it's our regular show. We like to follow some sort of cadence. Usually it was weekly, bi-weekly, but it is a regular show. It is a regular show where we're gonna building different stuff using Konnect technologies. And I'm super excited that I'm not gonna be alone today, and I will have my friend and colleague. Let me switch the screen. Danny. Also known as Danny from Partner Engineering. You probably see her in some of other videos. Danny, welcome to Konnect Builders.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm Danny. I'm on the Partner Engineering team, and I have been building, you may be familiar with me, I've been building some content out this year on integrating with some of our key technology partners. So there's some API SecOps tutorials and using Mesh for a cloud migration journey. So thanks for having me, Vic.
Please, dear people who are watching our stream, let us know where you're coming from. Where if it's a LinkedIn, YouTube, just like write something in the comments. Let's make some noise and make sure that the sound is great. I hear Danny perfectly. I see Danny also perfectly. And also we can geek out while we're waiting for the comments. We can geek out about the mechanical keyboards. That's what I hear Danny is using. What kind of mechanical keyboard are you using, Danny?
I have a Keytron.
Yeah, me too.
I have a. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Keytron. The Key 3, that's mine.
Yeah, I wanted the number pad, so I got the compact one, but it's a little bigger. It's got the number pad. It's about the same though.
I don't have like the numpad. I don't know. Like some people love to have it. Mine Key 3, it is kind of like a low profile, so I can just like type it probably faster. So let's take a look if we do have any comments in our stream. So I don't see anything right now. So people, let's make some noise and tell us if you can hear us and can hear us. Okay, let's see. LinkedIn. All right, we have connection. All right, so we also have some Keycloak users. That's great. John is asking, where's this Stream Deck? Yeah, so Stream Deck is connected over here, so I cannot show my thing. And I also have another. Yeah, I have a Stream Deck that the new one with the knobs and stuff. So, but I didn't have a time to install it. So. Great. At least we have a few people join us there. That's awesome to see. Oh, Mert. Hey, one of our Konnect champions, Mert Simsek. Hi for coming in. All right. It's great that the people joining and detailing where they're coming from in terms of like what platform. But I was talking about like a physical location. Like what's the city or I don't know, state or country at least, we want to know. People, I see that you're coming from LinkedIn because I see this small icon that says you're coming from LinkedIn. Tell me where is physically you're located. So I'm coming to you at the sunny New Jersey these days, and Danny also somewhere on the East Coast.
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina, if anyone is familiar with North Carolina.
While we're waiting some of the comments, let me actually talk a little bit about some housekeeping items. So first of all, the important thing is that if you're on the Konnect YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're not, make sure that your button looks something like this. So I have enabled notifications, so I will not miss any streams, and I'm subscribed. I would really appreciate, and Danny also will appreciate this because she posts some of the videos regularly. Speaking about Danny's content, like if you go to Konnect blog, you can find multiple cool partnering integrations with the different technology providers like Red Hat, like AWS, and some other things. So Danny, you can talk a little bit about the stuff that you do at the partner engineering. Maybe people would be, interested more about this stuff. People know everything about like DevRel. Now, what do you do at the partner engineering?
Yeah, it's a really niche, interesting field, but it's actually sometimes a little bit of a mix of DevRel. But the first thing we got to do is we got to integrate with our cloud and key technology partners, meaning if we need to be certified in AWS, we may do that certification. If we need a OpenShift certification, we may go ahead and do that. And then once we've done it, we kind of circle back and start the kind of like the enablement and like letting the community know how to use those new integrations or how to use those new certifications out there so you can keep, moving along with whatever you're doing. So that's a lot of what we do. It's a lot of fun because it's really busy, right? Sometimes you're coding, sometimes you're writing, and sometimes I'm on the Kong Builders channel with Vic.
So what I like to say about the partnering stuff in DevRel, where we are very similar, we're trying to build this kind of integration with DevRel. It's not it's less formal, right, and less structural. With the with partner engineering, it's kind of like official certification. Sometimes customers, they kind of, okay, what's your official stand on supporting AWS, and where's the Danny and her team comes into play and saying, hey, yep, that's like we certified. There's a paper, so we can roll with this. So yep. I just saw like we have people from France, from Bay Area, from Egypt, from Istanbul. So that's a great geography to talk about this. Great. Keep them coming. All right, Danny, what we're gonna build it today. So I noticed that you didn't you're not sharing your screen. Could you share your screen with me so we can bring your screen into the stream?
Yes, that's a good point. Let me do that. Where is it? Let me find it. Okay, so what we've got for you today is
you're not sharing again.
That's fair.
Yes.
I'm getting there. Getting there. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, so I can. Let's see if we will be able to share it. Okay, perfect. We can see it. And if you can make it a little bit bigger so people can also see what you sharing on the screen. So people, let me know if it's big enough for you to see this this awesome diagram. I would go a little bit bigger
Let's see if we can make it bigger. Yeah, I had this all set up, and then we had
you don't have to do like a presentation mode. You can just go on your screen and just make it bigger.
Let me see if I can make it bigger. I think it's about as big I can go. It's kind of stuck in that size. Right. Okay. Sorry, guys. I know it's a little small, but what we're going to be doing today is we want to talk about GraphQL API authorization. And the reason being is that we've got a lot of customers that they're starting to build out their GraphQL APIs, but they've also got REST and gRPC going all at the same time. So they kind of want to have a standard solution for protecting all of these APIs. And Kong can kind of help you do that. So the story is going to be, we're going to focus on, there's a lot going on with GraphQL. Yeah.
I have a question. Like before we jump into this one, like what makes it unique? So because the GraphQL runs on top of HTTP, like what's the fuss? What's the big deal? We just put the whatever Konnect does for years, like API authorization plugin or like OIDC plugin, things like that. Why it is, something special about this GraphQL
Yeah,
thingy?
that's a fair question. So I think a lot of us are really familiar with securing and building access control policies for REST, right? But that object, when you're looking at it, it's pretty static. It's just here is the JSON object that I will accept. And then it's very easy to build, disassemble and build access control policies.
Right.
But what is the paradigm with GraphQL? We now want to take all of our REST APIs, all of them, batch them into one massive nested data tree structure, and expose that to our front end clients, right? Whether
Yeah.
it be web or mobile, whatever. So we've just taken all the data, we put it into a massive data tree structure. So how are we supposed to secure it? That's kind of the issue that the community is working through right now. Yeah.
Yeah, think about this. When you're doing the REST stuff, you can have a security on top on particular routes or on top of particular HTTP methods and things like that. But with GraphQL, you're kind of limiting around like one endpoint and one HTTP method, and only based on the requests that you have and the type of request. If it's a query or it's a mutation, you need to be like a little bit more aware what is going on in this like a pipeline. So in this case, the security aspect would be important to know all this kind of like what is going on all over the wire, right? So for that matter, GraphQL is much more closer to like RPC protocols, right? So in this case, it's going to be one endpoint, and we need to do something with this endpoint.
Yeah, because the most important is that we've shoved everything that we distributed across multiple APIs into one API.
Exactly.
One master do it all. Yeah.
Okay, so and what are moving parts of this our stream today? So
Konnect, we're just going to use that as a control plane and to deploy our data plane for the gateway. And then we do want to showcase how to use OIDC. In this case, we'll just to identify the user. So we'll have an IDP. It'll be Keycloak in this case, just because it's easy to deploy. But really, any IDP works. And then the third is OPA is really going to be the star here. Open Policy Agent. It's a CNCF project that kind of lets you build out decisions and to interact with whether that decision should pass through. So we can build authorization with that guy.
So as you can see on this in this picture, so we have a request that will come in. We will hit the OIDC provider Keycloak, and after that we will apply some additional policies in order to see if it's user eligible to get the data or not.
Yeah, because what OPA will do, so we'll issue the JOT, an API consumer hits the gateway. The OIDC by default plugin's gonna be hit first. So Keycloak's gonna issue that JOT, and then it goes down to OPA, and we take that request and your JOT, and we send it over to the OPA engine. It's gonna execute your authorization policy to assess if your request is good or is can pass or not, and then once it has that decision, returns it back, and then decides if you can go hit your back end or upstream service.
Fantastic. So we will switching to different, I guess different screen to start building. But I have a question for our audience. How many of you actually using GraphQL today, and what's your strategy of protecting your GraphQL server? Another question that I also might have, and if you have an answer, if you're on the stream, write down this in the chat. If you are watching this afterwards as a recording, write down in comments. How common is to host your own OIDC provider, like in this case Keycloak we're going to be using, or using some managed solution? I don't know, Okta, Azure, Active Directory, or something like that. So that's my question to you. Hopefully it will generate some of the responses. And we're not going to wait for those responses. We're going to be switching to actual demo. So as far as I understand, Danny, we're going to be using Konnect, and we're going to be using where we're going to deploy our data plane. The most important question.
We're going to use EKS to deploy the data plane today. Yeah. So who's driving? Are you driving or am I driving?
No, you're driving. So you're driving.
Okay.
You have. I did the check before the stream, and I don't have a account with EC2, so I need to go and update my credentials.
Well, okay, let me find where the work is. Okay, so what we've got today is we've got an EKS cluster. I've actually gone ahead and done a bulk of the legwork because I thought you were going to do it, but I'll do it. So what we're going to do first is start over. I've already got EKS up and running because that takes 15 minutes, and then what I've just got is just Kubernetes manifest to actually logged in. Let me just check if I'm logged in here. Got the keep config. Yeah, I'm ready to go. Good. Yeah. Okay, great. So I'm just going to scoot over to K9S here and just show you what I've got in the namespace. So in the namespace, if I can do this right, always on the fly. Got a Kong namespace. I've got Keycloak deployed. I've got the data plane, and I've got the OPA engine. So, and OPA, there's a couple of deployment strategies for it. In Kubernetes, it also will deploy as a admission controller, but we're going to leverage it. We're not leveraging in that context right now because we actually just want to be making calls to it back and forth with the gateway, not making a decision as we insert something into Kubernetes. So that's why it's deployed as a sidecar here, kind of like as a sidecar. We'll call it as a sidecar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let's go up to Konnect and just check what we've got going on as well, if I can find it. Here we go. So in Konnect, I made a new runtime group called Kong Builders just to keep it separate. And we can see we've got that one data plane connected. And I went ahead and did a DEX sync in advance. So we've got a Rick and Morty gateway service, and it's got a route associated to it called on path Rick and Morty. And we got the two plugins, just the two plugins for now. So OPA is enabled and OpenID Connect is enabled. I'm going to...
I wanna kind of like quickly mention this to people who watching this. So the reason why we're using Konnect at this point, it's not only because it is like easiest way how you can get access to a variety of the plugins and variety of the things that are available there, but also it gives like a free UI, so we can quickly demonstrate all these things to you. All these things also possible to do whatever Kong deployment you're using. We choose to use Kong Konnect because it's the most simplest and most developer-friendly environment these days you can start. And even though we're using this in Kubernetes right now, so EKS is our kind of like deployment platform, the same thing would be applicable if you just like switch to deploy to even like local Docker, right? If you deploy this in local Docker, if you deploy this in a Google Cloud, even like all this like a deck file would be absolutely the same because it will be working against Konnect. So that's pretty simple thing to do with Konnect. So we do have it's a managed service. Trial is enabled if you want to play around with this. And we're going to be using Konnect. Yes.
Yeah. And you can sign up for a 14-day trial as well if you want to get access to some of these plugins. So like the OPA plugin is one of our enterprise plugins. So if you want to play around with it, go ahead and sign up for that 14-day trial. We do have a link, I think, in the blog post.
Yep.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and try to start from scratch. And
if you want, I can actually start from scratch and we can show you this actually simple and dumb person as myself can do this like quite easily.
I think you can do it. I think you can do
it. Yeah, let's do this. Let's try it. Let's see. So that's gonna be fun because this is totally unprepared, and I am not afraid to make fun of myself if something is not gonna work. So we do have this repository that we're gonna share afterwards. Right now it's kind of like it looks like this. The hardest thing for me would be probably get my Kubernetes cluster now. Let's see if I have this nodes. Probably it's connected to my kubectx. kubectx. Where's my kubectx? And I will select my mesh stuff. Let's see if I have conk nodes. Oops. Conk get kube get nodes. Let's see if my Kubernetes cluster is up and running. Hopefully, it will be up and running. Let's see. Is it still there? Hello, hello. So, if my cluster is not ready, so we're gonna have a backup plan to switch to Dennis. Let's see if maybe my kube CTX. Maybe I need to use. Yeah, no. This cluster should be up and running. Gcloud. Where's this compute container cluster? Create conk cluster. Let's see if I will be able to get new cluster created a little quick. Number of nodes, just one. Remove all this stuff that I don't need.
Could also use Docker if you wanted.
Let's see. My project is suspended, so we got to go with Danish environment. So I need to go and figure out billing. It's always fun when the money comes into play when you're trying to play around with the things. So
yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I've got an EKS cluster.
Yeah. Budget is exhausted, so that's what the message says. So unfortunately, that's the true nature of the modern technologies. The money.
Show me the money.
show me the money, exactly.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'll start from the beginning. Let me use. I'm gonna do a dex sync and refresh this a little bit. No such file and directory. That's not a good start. Yes,
usually
that's true.
Means that you're running in the.
No, it's there. It's there. Just have a bad habit of relabeling things, thinking it'll be easier, and then not fixing the README. There we go. So we created one thing, updated 3 things, and deleted 1 thing. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Let's double check. Let's do a refresh here and see what we've got. Plugins. Okay, so the 2 plugins, yeah, we did want it to start them disabled just so we can get an understanding of what the default behavior is right before we start enabling things. We should have, steps in, right? That's okay. The host is still right. Still pointing at Rick and Morty API, and
so we wanted to use some sort of public API available there. So we use Rick and Morty GraphQL server. If you know, in the past, my favorite one was the SpaceX GraphQL server, so you can get the data like what kind of ships are flying right now. And I think they suspended this, so we got to go to less exciting things with Rick and Morty, which is also cosmic themed. So Rick and Morty then.
It's true. It is cosmic themed. It is true. Okay. Where are we? Yeah. So this looks good. So Rick and Morty API. Where is this guy? Here we go. He's here. It's working. That's kind of important. So we should be able to go to, without doing anything, we basically got an API exposed via the gateway, right? So we're going to go to Insomnia, if I can find Insomnia. I'm going to go to Insomnia. I got this first request ready to go, and we should be able to hit the load balancer at /Rick and Morty, because that's what I configured it to, and it should work, theoretically. Okay, great. That's good. It's working. So
you either get the address of the host where you can deploy it, or if you run this in Kubernetes, you can get the service with type of load balancer in Konnect namespace. So in this case, this is how you can get external IP address to this one. So you will be able to get access.
Yeah. So do you want me to I'll just go over that real quick.
Yeah.
So wait, is it? Yeah. Where am I? I'm so lost. I'm sorry.
Well, you're using your Mac, the desktops like a master. I always making a decision. I need to use more of those, and I still end up with just with one thing and a bunch of pile of windows in one screen.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I tell you. It's kind of nerve-wracking too because I never know which direction to go. So if we just look at this, we just look at the service real quick. If we go down, it's got a host name. And if this was really production ready, we would have had Route 53 fronting the load balancer. But we're just kind of like, this is just a quick start landscape. So that's where the load balancer is. And that's pointing at the data plane running in our namespace, right? So pod hates me. I don't know how to stop it from doing that. Yeah. Okay. It's there. It's there.
You're doing, yeah.
It's there. It's there. The point is, it's there, right? Moral of the story. Okay. So we right now what we've got is we've just exposed the GraphQL API endpoint. We don't have anything else on it, and so we want to kind of start incrementally turning things on. When we turn on Keycloak, so let's go back to Konnect and turn on Keycloak. I'm going to close this because this is really frustrating. Here we go.
Can you make the screen a little bit bigger so we can see this? My favorite kind of rule of thumb when you watch our streams on a mobile, and if you're comfortable watching these things in a mobile, that's meaning that we're striking perfect balance in terms of size of the font and accessibility of the content.
Yes, I believe you. Okay, so I'm gonna turn.
That's why I'm using like my small screen over here.
I was like, I don't have my bubble.
Yeah, that's how I know.
Yeah, no, it is really a good point, rule of thumb, honestly, because people can't see, then it's futile, it's worthless. Okay, so we're gonna enable the OpenID Konnect plugin. I've already got it configured because I had a deck config, right? Some of this was predictable. So I already got this guy configured about where Keycloak is and how to make that call and everything. And in the same token, what I did in Keycloak is we just did service to service. We're just pretending like this is a machine to machine for now. So it's not going to provision me a bearer token. I've just got a Kong ID service client. Let me go to the list of the clients. So I've got a realm Kong ID. And then I went over and grabbed his credentials and I got the secret. It's already seated in Insomnia for me, but that is formally what I did. So now that I've got the OIDC plugin enabled, formally speaking, when I go to Insomnia and hit the request, I don't have any auth enabled, so this should throw me a forbidden. Yeah, 401 unauthorized. Okay, so OIDC is enabled, but that's not very, very exciting. We need to do some authorization stuff. So let's do that. So for authorization for this OPA piece, what we need to do is we're going to use OPA has REST endpoints to go ahead and push up those policies to this engine over here. And we created a couple of them for you. So we got to push one up first. How are we going to do that? Let me see what the plan was. What was the plan? The plan was that, right, I don't have a load balancer for OPA because I was a little lazy just talking about money.
What you can do is just do port forwarding and try to push it to the local host.
Yeah, I had port forward, cube, cuddle, port. There we go. Yeah, I had
Did
port
you know
forward
that
on.
you can do port forwarding from the K9S?
No. I'm not very good at K9S.
No, I can show you. So that's the beauty being part of the... Just kill it. Kill the port forwarding for now.
Okay.
So if you go to K9S and go find the service that you want to go, in this particular case, you have a namespace Kong. And when you go to service, you can just do, Control F and it will tell you.
Wait, Control F or Command F?
Yeah.
This is Mac.
Okay. Good point. Or Shift F. Good thing is that you can always okay, so that's some other thing. You can do Control F. Yeah.
None of it's working.
No. So in this case, you always have a help. You can do get the help from K9S.
I don't know how to do that either.
So try to you have a service.
I have a service. That's the service. Got the highlighter on it.
My Kubernetes clusters is a little bit impaired, so let me try to try to run this in Minikube, because I have this, all these shortcuts. They are on the like very much depend on my local environment. But okay, so let's not waste some time. Let's do regular port forwarding. Yeah, and I'll tell you shortcut afterwards.
Okay. Forwarding is up, and we've got 3 policies here, so kind of wanted to demonstrate just the flexibility you have. So the first policy, let's see if we can read it together. I'm going to widen this out. So what it's going to do is just schema validation for you, meaning that any GraphQL queries made in should match the abstract syntax tree that you've defined for that backend GraphQL API. So at the top, all of this code is the schema hard coded as your string, kind of like what you do with when you're building out those APIs in the microservice, anyways. And
so in this case, we basically this OPI policy is literally some sort of like a code, like some sort of DSL that we actually writing code against. So this is OPA engine will be executing this code against or incoming requests and validate like every time everything.
Yeah, so what's going to happen is, so this is, it's written in Rego, which is their, not going to call it proprietary, but it's the OPA language itself, and it's intended to help you build decision engines, basically build hierarchical decision policies, and also abstract policy enforcement away from your code itself, right? So what the other thing that's really nice about it is we also have the concept of separation of concerns, where we want to have our governance teams and our development teams to really have a little more collaborative experience. And we're starting to get a little bit of that when we use OPA, because, what a lot of the GraphQL teams have to do is they have to do this authorization inside their code base. But, you haven't actually seen me write any GraphQL APIs at all at the moment. I just wrote OPA policies, so that's kind of nice that I don't have to go into the microservice and write
the thing is it's kind of like a double-edged sword, in my opinion. We have every time when you try to involve non-technical people, try to write them code, it can this promise never worked. We have the times, remember, like a rules engine, like analysts will be writing rules, and they don't have to write the code in order to execute this. So they will implement these rules, and everything would be automatically, deployed.
Automatically, yes.
Yes. We still need to maybe ChatGPT will change the situation, and the people.
It'll be the moderator.
It will tell them, hey, I need to have a rule that prevents people to get access to characters endpoints. Write me OPA policy for that, and GraphQL will write this Rego code for you.
Yeah, honestly, that would be kind of a little nice anyways as a developer. But I feel like even, it is a double-edged sword. 100% agree. At the same token, it is a little nice that we can at least, there's a little bit more transparency with Rego, in the sense that, we have all of our policies hosted and, version controlled in a Git repository. With Styra, we're going to have a follow-up webinar on this, but, there's the whole consideration around building the policy, testing the policy before you deploy out the policy, and having kind of like a central management of your policy system as well. So I feel like there's also a lot of benefit. It just depends on, as always, it always depends. Like, what is your problem statement?
Do they already came up with another name for this kind of like OPA ops type of thing? Because it looks like everyone is coming up with their own ops thingy. Like we have a API ops, maybe for managing this the policies. Also, there's a OPA ops or something like that.
Yeah, dude, they call it policy ops.
Oh, really? Okay, I was right. Okay.
I do.
No, days since new Star Ops thingy came up. 0 days.
Everything.
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone's got ops these days. Shift left.
Yeah.
Ops.
Shift left ops. I like
it. Yeah. Coined. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. But so right here, we actually have one main decision. The default is not to allow. And then anything that happens in here that comes out true is allowed. So the first thing is is it a public query? And what I did here was just to check that what your realm access was. So basically checking the claims in the JOT token that was provisioned in. That's what these kind of helper functions do here, is to parse it and then check what role you have what in that token. So by default, Keycloak gives everybody this default roles conch. So it's just kind of an easy way to give permission to everybody for quick start testing. And then the only other thing it's going to do is just validate query valid. Oh, here it is. Query valid is just checking that the incoming query from input request HTTP parse body query, very long, is valid using the schema, which is a string up top. Parses against
do they have like we're parsing this raw HTTP request? Is there like libraries that can work with directly with GraphQL instead of kind of doing this like a parsing stuff?
Well, that's what this is for. It is working with GraphQL. So this is a built-in function built by the OPA Rego team, I guess is the best way I would say it. But it's a built-in function to basically convert your query, your incoming queries, and your schema into an abstract syntax tree so that we can basically then, go from a string to a tree, which is something like a tree structure, so that we can start to traverse it with what we need. So that's actually what these built-in functions are for. Okay. And it comes with Rego. It's not, I didn't write this. I actually didn't write this guy. It comes with OPA.
Okay, perfect. So in this case, like we there's a function for dealing with the raw HTTP. So this stuff can be also used for doing advanced entitlements on top of any HTTP API, like a REST API, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And so this one is just saying, like, what this function is doing is just checking if the incoming request query is valid against the schema, like basically schema validation is valid. But we're in the next use cases. We'll do some more advanced use cases so we can see all the capabilities that are, that come with the built-in functions. So this is just one of hopefully many. We'll see if we get there. Okay, but we need to first push this up to the OPA engine. So we've opened up port forwarding, so we have access to the API, to the REST API, and I'm just going to do a curl. We have 3 policies. We're just going to do policy number 1. This is good. This is a 200. There wasn't an error. So when we go to what else do we need to do? Actually, we pushed up the first policy, but we also need to enable OPA plugin at the gateway. So let's go up to Konnect. I hope I didn't get logged out. Check what's going on here. Yes, I'm still here. Great. So OPA is disabled. Let's enable it. It should be on the route. Let me just make sure I'm not crazy. Yeah, they're on the route. So it's got 2 plugins. So now when we go to Insomnia, I'm going to go to number 2. Oh, you know what? We never tested turning on auth. So let's test that. I'm going to execute this. Oh, no, we did.
No, we did. We get unauthorized. Yeah. Okay,
so let's go to number 2. I've got basic auth because this is service to service, and this is just the client ID and the client secret down here. You can steal it, but it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
And so let's go ahead and execute this request. This should work. But so
basically, in this case, we do have a OIDC plugin fronts every request that comes into this /GraphQL route into Rick and Morty service. And what we want to do right now is to make it more granular so we can apply different schemas and, validate the requests.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and cause a failure. So I'm just going to do characters. So this is schema validation is what we're testing. So I'm going to do something like farts. And you can see this is a 403 forbidden. If we had turned it off, actually, let's go ahead and do it. Let's turn it off. Just the plugin. Where the hell? That's what I'm saying. This is too complicated. Let's just turn off the plugin. It may take a second. It takes a second. See, we turned off OPA, which is doing just schema validation, and now we're getting an error because the Rick and Morty API is throwing an error. It does not understand characters farts is not a part of the schema.
Yeah.
Characters is part of the schema. So what is a beautiful thing is that we're not, as we've stopped this at the gateway rather than going all the way back to the microserver and say, hey man, this is not a valid schema. You're not coming in with this. So now it's back on. You can see that everything is good to go. Oops. Parts. Unauthorized. Yeah, so that's schema validation for you.
And I think it's also sometimes people can argue, okay, but it throws unauthorized exception. The thing about security is that you have to give attacker or whatever counterpart as less information as possible. As a developer, I'm thinking, oh, I'm giving my users not enough information in order them to resolve this problem. But we're talking about security. So when you give some additional information like, oh, the schema doesn't exist, or try to check your email or things like that, you're actually giving more information in order to the hackers to explore the vulnerability of the system. So right now, gateway actually stops this unauthorized, and you don't know what was that, as attacker who came with the wrong query or wrong key. Less you give information to your attacker is more, I would say. So in this case, when you see just a generic unauthorized, it's a normal. Try to reduce, how they call it. Try to reduce the vector of the attack. That yes, unauthorized, probably something with authorization, but what's actually happens is wrong schema.
Yep, and that's just that's the most basic. But there's a lot of other problems with nuance. It's not a problem, but it's a nuance with GraphQL. Is well, let's say we've got two people, Vic and Danny. Danny is currently the administrator, so I have superpower privileges, but Vic does not. So Vic's only allowed to execute stuff in characters, but not episodes. So how do we go ahead and do that? That's what the next policy, I think, is supposed to be about. So we've got a second policy, and it's slightly more advanced. The second policy is going to not just check that you're valid, but every query in characters we're going to get the abstract syntax tree back. We're going to go through every character's query that comes in, and we are going to check that the arguments that they sent in, so in this case, filter character is a variable, input variable argument. Where is Insomnia? There it is. This filter character is actually something that's intended to be an input into the query. Right, and it could have made this more granular. So if you wanted to check name and status and check the value of these guys as well, that would have been possible. I didn't do it in this case, but we do have another example of doing that. So this is saying, hey, you can only, if you have an input, that's fine, but the input needs to be filter character.
Yes.
That's the objective of the second policy. Okay, so let's push up this guy. I'm just going to do a replacement. There we go. And when we execute this now, it should work. It works, but if I do filter character test, it's also forbidden. And one thing that's really nice that I like to do, because this probably seems like Auto Magic, is that I set up OPA. If you guys end up playing around, I set up OPA. You get to the pod. Oops. Where's OPA?
It's in the Konnect namespace.
OPA. Let's open up that guy. Let's blow this up real quickly. It's nice just for to validate yourself if you guys are just playing around, that you can go into the engine and you can actually go ahead and see all of the data come through and the decision comes through. And it kind of gives you the rationale of what of these sub allows, kind of these helper functions were the reason why. So I would really recommend getting in there and taking a look at yourself, because you can see what's in the access token so that you just don't feel like you're totally crazy. Fun fact. So that is number 2. And so just to refresh, like OPA provides the built-in functions for this parse and verify. So what it did was it first validated that the incoming query was legitimate. So the schema validation is still there. But then we had some additional validations we wanted to do. And that's why we took this abstract syntax tree and then we built arguments against it. And then, so in here, we've got some helper functions to go ahead and help us with that parsing. So this helper function helps us walk the abstract syntax tree and look for the character's query. And then we've got another one for episodes. We didn't use it yet, but we'll use it in the next set. And then we've got parsing out constants, parsing out variables. You could have parsed out inputs. So there's a lot of flexibility here. Any questions? I'm going to move on.
I'm just checking our chat window. I don't see anything specifically striking. So
okay.
What I usually say, it looks like everything is clear or nothing is clear. And when there's a silence, it's very difficult to distinguish like which one is which. So hopefully everything is clear on on our front, or we just like talking to ourselves, which is going to be depressing. People, just make some noise in the comments if you're still with us.
Yeah, let us know because we have time to circle back and keep talking about what's going on. Okay, so the third and final policy is that 2 people now, Vic and Danny, one of them has privileges, one of them does not. Let's figure out who in this very long list has privileges. So everybody
right now, you have these policies of they kind of built into sorry, not the policy, schemas built into the policy. But you said that it's possible to have some sort of like a schema registry or whatnot, where these schemas can be stored and just like pull this into the code.
For OPA, so what we actually do need to, if we want to do that for the plugin, it can be an input. So it could also have been like, how we've got input, request, HTTP. We also input a lot of the other information that we have, like gateway service, route, methods, in order for it to be a part of the OPA. We actually, if we wanted to do that for us, for our plugin, we actually have to have like another input available to abstract it away from the plugin. Yeah, that's why it's hard-coded at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people...
We can put this in the plugin somewhere, kind of like as a config, or.
Yeah.
Cool.
Feature request.
Yep.
Yeah, feature request.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. So this last query, we're just expanding on it. So everybody still has access to execute the characters query type definition, but not everybody should have access to episodes. Only someone with fake access, which is they should have a role called fake, and nobody actually has this role because I didn't set it up in Keycloak, so no one should be allowed to do this. So if we go to Insomnia and we execute this request, it should fail. No surprise. Let's fix this guy though.
Yeah.
But it worked. Oh yeah, we didn't curl it up.
Because you didn't apply the policy.
Yeah, we didn't apply the policy. Crazy. It's hard to do all of this at the same time.
No, that's okay. That's why I'm here. I'm kind of like reminding you like what we're doing. Like what are we doing?
Okay, so now it failed. So I'm going to take away the episode section because I don't have permission to execute that, and it should succeed because just because I am only focused on the characters query, not the episodes query. And if I had a role for the fake Keycloak realm role and we use that client ID and secret, it would have worked instead. But so that's the state of the affairs of GraphQL with Kong and OPA. So that's what we have for the demo. Are there any questions? Do people want to play around with them more?
Yeah, did you actually set up the realms inside the OPA? I just missed that because I was checking the comments.
No, I set it up. I set it up earlier. Yeah, but we can try another one. But I didn't set up a fake one. But we can give it a go. We can see if you want to see if we can do it.
So Airbox is Airbox is asking, do we have example to run locally? Let's just say Docker Compose, Keycloak, Konnect, and OPA. Yes, and if you go into Danny's blog post that we have somewhere handy, this blog post includes everything. So if you go to this, where is one? GraphQL authorization with Konnect and OPA. It has public repository where you can use Docker Compose, and you can do all those things that Danny is showing you right now. There should be like a URL to this. There should be URL. If not, we will put this in the comments afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's at the bottom. I think it's usually where
the bottom. So
yeah.
You probably yes, that's the GitHub repo. You probably need to enable get access to your Konnect, but everything that you're asking is here. So that's your Docker Compose. Yeah, that's because we're gonna be running the Konnect in the same network that your OPA and Keycloak.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Hide the comments. Let's see if you have any other comments here. Oh, yes, and our helpers, Emily, who's in background, sending you links. You can find this, the blog post. I just put this on the screen so you can do screenshots. Next time we need to bring the QR code so we can show the QR codes. But think about this. You're doing this. You're watching this right now in your break. Hopefully it's lunchroom or some other room where you're taking a rest on your phone. And if it's gonna be a QR code, how you're gonna scan the QR code from the screen that you're watching this stream? Of course, you're welcome. Yeah.
Need two phones.
yeah, exactly. So no, I think that's a very interesting very interesting use case, and one of the things that probably beneficial for people to know is that it is indeed separation of concerns. So we don't have. Let me switch this one. We can talk this in a different sense. Yeah. So we don't have access to the service. Like we cannot change the source code of the service, and but we will be able to restrict access to the service by applying all those policies, and I think that's huge in terms of protecting your APIs. Every time when the people say why I need a gateway, I can implement all these things. Yeah, it's depend on the development cycles that or sprints rather, right? So to implement certain pieces of functionality, and you wants to be very active and apply different rules, because your requirements on restricting access can change, over a matter of hours and minutes, and you might not have a time to re-implement everything that you have to. So in this case, applying those policies on the fly like we did, it just takes a matter of seconds to implement this. And we didn't even touch some other aspects, for example, kind of implementing some sort of a rate limiting based on the OIDC type of thing. You can first of all apply rate limiting based on the token or validation of the token, and only after that pass it to say you have access to your service, like this Rick and Morty service, and you as a provider of this maybe paying yourself, you're paying for the service. You're not just getting this for free. So you can reduce number of requests that your users can get access to your to this API. So basically the possibilities are enormous. You can do multiple things using the same foundation. All right. Yes. So we will wait for a few more questions. I would like to remind that again, everything that we are talking about, the videos and stuff, they will be here. Some of the tutorials, some of the videos, tech talks, all these recordings you can find here in the Konnect YouTube channel. In order to receive everything. So the only thing that you need to do is to subscribe to this channel, enable notification, and everything will be delivered to your notification screen over here. I would like to say thanks to Danny for agreeing doing this demo with me. Write down in comments if you want to see more videos with Danny talking about some cool stuff. And trust me, she has a lot of things to talk about, and she has a lot of cool demos to demonstrate. So it's really depends on your desire. We also in this streams we're also accepting requests, because there's something that it's not super polished, and you can see, like, I thought my Kubernetes cluster is always prepared, but things like the budgeting and unpaid bills for your cloud providers hit us, and that's why we would not be able to run this on my account. Also, try Konnect. It's pretty cool thing to do. So with this, let me last call for a question. Okay, so there's a airbox question. So can you run Conn locally in container? Yes, of course you can. And as always, as a good YouTuber, I have a video for that somewhere here. If you scroll down, like almost one of the first videos that I did when I joined Konnect, it was build a demo of running Konnect in Docker. And where is it? Long time. So many videos. You can check. You can check and find this video. Yep. So install Konnect API gateway in container. So like watch this video. I showed example, but more importantly, again, if you start with Konnect, that's what Danny was talking about.
Oh, I can show it. I still got it up.
You have it? Okay.
Share. Yeah. You mean showing that runtime instance?
Yeah. So if you create new runtime instance,
you can see there's Mac OS, there's Docker.
Yeah, if you select Docker,
Linux, and it leads you through.
Yeah, we even give you a script that you just copy paste and you run. Yeah. More importantly, we also have very cool script that allows you to run this in Docker. If you do Konnect getting started, you should be able to get this blog post start with Konnect in. No, it's something different. It's not what I was. There should be even one liner. So basically, in order to run the Konnect in Docker, that's one command that you need to run. And it runs Konnect and even probably deploy some API. So give it a try. That should be fairly easy.
And if you're running that tutorial, it'll do it all in Docker. So it'll spin up your gateway, Keycloak, and OPA all in Docker.
Yep. Also. Yep. And thank you so much, Emily, again, for pasting everything into our chat. So it's a good idea to follow chat and see the comments. All right, so we're almost out of time. Danny, it's always great to chatting with you. It's always great to collaborate with you on certain cool technologies. Hope your first experience being a part of the Konnect Builders was pleasant, and I hope I will see you in future episodes. Thank you.
Anytime. See you later.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Yes, and with this, as always, my name is Viktor Gamov. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Subscribe. I will put every buttons, make it cringe, but you need to subscribe. And with this, my name is Viktor Gamov, and as always, have a nice day.